Hi, this is John.
And I'm Cecilia.
From Crazy Cat Paranormal Speaks.
And you're listening to the Bigfoot Club podcast.
Hey everybody, Robert Jesse Dominguez, Bigfoot Club, Season 4, Episode 4. So, we're back together. I know last time we did a show, somebody was sick with COVID.
Mm-hmm, that was me. Yeah, I still have lingering effects. Still coughing, so if you might hear me cough, unless you can edit it out.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I think it's good. I think it makes the show real.
Mm-hmm.
So, Juan, what's going on?
Nothing much. I'm back.
Steven's back, and we're all back together. We're actually at Steven's house right now, so
Yep,
we're doing a show. Super excited about this episode. Before we talk about this interesting story, let's get the Book of Boba Fett out the way. So I know when we did the last show, it hadn't premiered yet. You know, it hadn't even come out yet, but we talked about a couple things. We talked about
the possibility.
the possibility, because like you were actually right about the potential protagonist, which was, I'll let you say it.
The Hutts.
Yeah, the twins.
The twins. Yeah, they're cousins or Jabba. I was like, I knew they're gonna have like some type of relative. That's what it would make sense. Make it interesting.
And then like I was right about the Tusken Raider stuff, because I bet he hooked up with the Tusken Raiders, and I was right on right on the money on that.
And it was a beautiful story.
Yeah,
how they told it, of how he became one of them.
Let's talk about the soundtrack. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And me, I really didn't care. I just wanted to watch the show.
Yeah, it's like I don't listen to the music. I just want
to look at it.
I want the story. I want the story.
But this time I listened to the music now that y'all said something
about
it.
It's like a missing. It's an important ingredient to
I
make
know,
the
it
show
helps
better.
it.
Yeah.
I don't know who sung it, who played it.
Yeah.
Oh man, dang it! You would say that. Oh.
Yeah, but it was actually pretty good. What I didn't know, the mayor of was it Mos Espa?
Mos Espa. Yeah, Mos.
I don't know if I'm getting it right. I'm probably getting it wrong. But anyway, the voice of that hammerhead guy was Robert Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yep.
That was the director for the episode. So it was his voice on there doing that. So I thought it was kind of cool.
He did the best movies ever. Spy Kids.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Spy Kids. It was like From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, Dusk Till Dawn. He did
Planet Terror with
the mariachi.
Mariachi.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah.
I'm just listening. I'm being educated
No,
right now.
I thought you.
No,
I thought one of them was your favorite movies.
Well, they're all my good favorite
Desperado.
movies.
Thank you.
Desperado.
But I don't go into the length of seeing who directed it. Who produced
it. So who produced it too? One.
Quentin
have to edit
Tarantino.
this part out.
Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, I know that.
I'm just kidding. But I was pretty happy with the most recent episodes, because they had Danny Trejo in it. Danny Trejo with a fucking Rancor.
Rancor, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I said,
better to
okay,
bring that out?
I know. I go, okay, I'm done. I'm done watching the show now. Danny Trejo and a fucking Rancor. So that was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, I think that's what the cherry on top.
Yeah,
episode. I was
yeah.
like, oh, it's getting okay. All right, the Rancor, okay. And it looks like they're kind of foreshadowing that Boba might ride him.
Yes.
And I think, man, I hate to be right on this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think that's going to be the key thing that's going to defeat the twins. The Rancor's going to eat both the Hutts.
I wouldn't doubt that, but I don't think that they're the main villain though. There's somebody like in the background, I think.
Han Solo.
No.
Chewbacca. He wants to get rid of the black Christensen. Chris Christopher. Yeah. Whoever that is.
You're talking about the black, the one that attacked Boba?
Yeah. Chris Kattan.
Chris Kattan,
the comedian.
Yeah, the black Chris Kattan.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, because it's like, I just really like where it's going. That's just me, and I'm pretty happy. And I want to watch it on Tuesday night at midnight, but I'm not able to do that.
No.
I got to watch it on Wednesday
Because they released it at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But did you notice that on the end of the fourth one, who they were talking about?
No.
That whenever she was like, those credits can buy you muscle, and then it plays the Mandalorian.
Really?
Yeah, so I think he's gonna make an appearance.
Dang, dude. Yeah.
Yep.
Without Baby Yoda.
No.
Do you think that's where on the Mandalorian, the Baby Yoda was on the rock, and Boba and she came around the corner?
No, that was actually
that was before he got his armor.
Yeah, it was
so
cool.
now that he has his armor, I think since he knows that he completed his mission of getting Grogu to where he needed to be, he needs to look for work.
Yeah.
So he's gonna probably pay Mandalorian to help him out on the rest of the season.
Right.
I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I totally agree on that one. That one makes me super happy just to see him again. So, but I think the book of Boba Fett's going to surpass the Mandalorian.
Yeah. See, so I said that at work, and I work with a bunch of millennials.
Yeah,
I am a millennial myself, but I don't consider myself a millennial.
nice.
Because you're raised by an X generation.
Exactly. So they're like 24. I think the youngest is 22. It's I'll call them Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted, they were like, man, I can't. This Boba Fett, like this show is terrible. It's like I don't understand it. Yeah, they were like saying like they weakened him. They made him so friendly. It's like a kid show, and it took the seriousness and the badass of Boba Fett, the what I remember from like the old movies, Empire Strikes Back. They weakened him. I was like, well, he wants to do things different from Jabba, so
yeah,
he's trying to do a change here, but I think it might flip because he realized how much he's getting screwed over. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a fantastic story writing where they're writing him to where he wants to be different,
right?
But still be Boba Fett. And they were like, nah, man, I'm getting sick and tired. And then they brought up these teenagers with android arms and all that. I go, okay, steampunk, yeah. That was kind of on it. But he's like, yeah. And the next thing they were like joking. They were like saying the next episode he's going to like hire a bunch of Teletubbies. Stuff. I go, man, if y'all hate it so much, why are you watching it?
I know, seriously.
And they're like, well, we're waiting for the show to get good, and it's not being promising on that. And I was like,
here's an idea: don't watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it. If you don't like it, go back to the Mandalorian. But they were saying like, the Mandalorian might come back, so he's going to really help this show. I was like, oh god. Yeah, I go, y'all do realize that we wouldn't have the Mandalorian if it wasn't for Boba Fett,
right?
You got to pay. Respect to Grandpa.
Daddy. That's where they got the armor from. So,
or at least what's the armor called?
Beskar.
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 That's right, Beskar.
So yeah, I'm pretty. Why am I yelling?
So yeah.
So I'm telling a story. You see?
Yeah. So I think you're just trying to talk over my cough, which is okay.
No, I wasn't trying.
No, that's okay. No, that's all right.
So, but yeah,
whatever.
But yeah. I'm pretty excited about where it's going because I think it's 10 episodes, 8 episodes.
I wish it's 10 or no 7.
7, yeah, that's right. Dang it!
Yeah,
got like 3 more.
It's almost over.
It's almost like Hawkeye.
Yeah,
I was mad when the ending was King Kong.
Yeah,
I can't believe that's the last one is going to end like that
with the gunshot.
Yeah,
he's gonna be back. Don't worry.
Yeah,
he ripped the car door off.
Oh.
I think he's gonna, and then he got like stabbed with the arrows. And he kept taking it off. I think he's gonna survive a gunshot.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He's gonna be fine.
So, you guys ready to start talking about the story?
Yes, I'm looking forward to mispronouncing the hell out of this name here.
Well, this story first came to me, I think, right before I got sick, by Ken the Marvelous Marvel. Ken Marvel and Tim Clay, they're not on Facebook, so they really hate Facebook. So they were like texting me. Ken was texting me this story about Portlock, and I had never heard this story before. I have really never heard of it. And then I started researching on it, and I really wanted to talk about the story right before I got sick, and then we never got to talk about it.
It was like over a year ago.
Yeah.
We wanted to really talk about it.
And like there was like no podcast, nobody talking about it. It was maybe like I found like one podcast, and it was like more like a educational, like Halloween version of it, and they were talking about it. So I went and researched it, and I know I sent you both guys the link on it. And you have any thoughts on it before we start talking about it?
If I have any, it's a lot of thoughts, so we can just jump in on the talking on it.
Okay, so Sebastian, but anyway, the story, which I thought was kind of fascinating, on history on it, because in 1779 the Spanish landed on Portlock, and they put up an obelisk, and they, whenever the Spanish take over a place, like in North America, they usually like read a proclamation and say, hey, you're now subjects of Spain, you're going to be, studying Catholicism, and if you don't, we're going to kill you. So they ended up killing like a lot of like indigenous people there, and they left that year, 1779, and the Spanish doesn't give up. They don't give up nothing, and they left. Story was that they were getting sick, and a lot of them got sick, and I think died, and then they end up leaving. Mm-hmm. And then 1786, the Royal British Navy, Nathaniel Portlock, founded the place in 1786, and I think they were having prospects in the early 1900s, and I think they had a post office in 1921.
Yeah, it was like 1929, 1921.
Yeah, and so they actually had some people there. They were actually trying to build. They actually built a fish cannery, some lumber stuff. They were doing lumber, and they were also doing some mines there. So. Mm-hmm. And it starts off in 1921, and I think it starts taking off where they were having some hunters that would go like into the woods, and they wouldn't come back. And like at that time, it was kind of conventional for people to go get lost in the woods. Even today, if people get lost in the woods and they're you can't find them and they just disappear. And so there was a couple people that were doing it. And I think most of the people that were living in that town were Russian Aleuts. And the indigenous name here, I'm going to play this really quick because I'm going to butcher this, so I'm going to start using this.
Alushik.
So Alushik people, they were on the Aleut Islands. The Aleut Islands is like the little tail on Alaska that kind of goes all the way to Russia, and I guess the indigenous people originate from there, but they go all over Alaska. And so a lot of I think predominantly of that village was Alushik people, and there was a neighboring village called Port Chatham, but they were so close, so they just kind of called it Portlock. Portlock. So. I know there was a couple stories, and I'll run through it really, really quick. But there was a couple stories. There was a story of a man that was like he was killed. His head was caved in, and it was like off of some lumber equipment that no man could lift. And this guy had this piece of lumber equipment. I guess apparently someone picked it up and bashed him over the head. So he was found 10 feet away from this lumber equipment. I mean, it wasn't like he fell and hit it and then rolled or anything like that. So that was kind of too far away. So whatever killed him picked this thing up and bashed him over the head. So that was kind of, and this was, and I'll just say this is kind of interesting because this was before the word Bigfoot was created, because Bigfoot, the word was created in 1958 in California. And so this was happening in the 20s and in the 30s. So most of the newspaper clippings would say, large hairy man or giants in the woods or something like that. Any thoughts on that so far?
Yeah, this was the first reporters of Bigfoot, the first reporter of a Bigfoot that was supposedly killing people. Yeah, and yeah, that's pretty terrifying.
It is. Mm-hmm. Juan, you got any thoughts on it?
Is it a different species, or is it the same that we have here?
I think it's the same here, but I think the difference between, North America and say Alaska, especially in this rural area, that these Bigfoots, you got to think, these Bigfoots probably never seen a human before.
Do you think that they are really originated from Russia? Because what is the Russian people call Bigfoot?
It's called I'll play this real quick.
I don't want to like just say Bigfoot for everything.
Yeah.
Well, where's the Yeti from? Appalachian?
Na-
Oh, so that's. I thought that was Native American.
huh?
I thought that was Native American.
What?
The Nantinak.
It is Native American.
So, but that's the Russian.
the Russian word for Bigfoot is, I think it's almas.
So, do you think that they were really like originally from Russia and they just originated?
It's possible. I mean, there's been stories about the Bering Strait, that little part of Alaska that touched Russia, and there was ice, and they crossed over, and that's how Bigfoots came from, or Yetis came from Asia over to North America. That's the theory. I mean, no one can ever prove that. Or
I mean, yeah,
disprove
that's all they do. Like they'll walk and they
Right.
explore. So during still the same thing, but during that time, whenever there wasn't cities and there wasn't
Right.
that much people around, that they had the ability to actually just travel and just walk and explore, and that makes me wonder if it was actually Russian. And had too much vodka, and they were like, kill all humans.
Let's kill some humans. Come on. Why do they sound congested?
Because they don't even sound Russian.
They're in the cold. That's why. Killed all the Russians. That's terrible. That's just a terrible impression.
It sounded better than that.
Somebody sit on my heads, please. My heads, please.
Now he just sounds like Count Chocolate. Or, oh God.
Sorry. Oh man, but yeah, the Russian word for Bigfoot is almost. So,
Almost.
yeah. Hold on, let me look it up. Talks amongst yourselves.
Almost.
So,
that is pretty. That's scary. I always say, like, there's like a lot of worse things you could die from or die of, and I would say one of the worst things is probably getting killed by a shark while you're underwater. Mm-hmm. Getting killed by a grizzly bear.
Mm-hmm.
die by or die from?
I guess by.
Does it matter? Does it,
It does,
really
because
matter?
what if you
Survived
suffocate?
it?
You suffocated. You died by suffocation.
Well, yeah, because that's if you're underwater, you're getting killed by a shark. You're like suffocating. You're freaking out.
And you're eaten alive.
And you're getting eaten alive, and they're probably. It's terrible. Same thing with a grizzly bear. You're not suffocating, but they like pretty much stomp on you, and you're losing your breath and all that. Or you're getting killed by something that you've never seen before, and you're not going to be allowed to tell what it is. That's probably the worst.
It's the state of shock.
Yeah, the
that
state
I
of
would be
shock.
in.
Like, oh my God.
Like you look up, you're like, that thing's more than 8 feet tall. It's like 12.
Yeah.
And it like grabs you, and you're just like, you're just trying, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to think. I think I told you that before. That's like my top 3 worst, like, to die by or from, like, was a great white shark, a grizzly bear, or something that you've never seen before, and it's not.
If we were all there, I wouldn't have a problem. I'll push one of y'all down. I'll start running.
I mean, he's got survival
Well,
instincts.
I can't run that fast right now, so I think both of you got me beat.
Oh,
so.
shit. I forgot.
I wonder why. Why is that, Robert?
I'd have to put him on my back.
So this is the Russian word for Bigfoot. Hold on.
Большая ступня.
Oh, I'm not saying
Forget
that.
it.
No, forget it.
Russia, someone.
I'll just call it the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Broshaya Rivas.
But the other stories on there was a couple stories. There was a story of this one guy named Michael Pekka. There was conflicting stories on this one because I read one story on this one and another story on another one. But one of the stories was he was hit. He was punched in the chest by a Bigfoot, and his dog scared it off.
He was that close to it?
Yeah, he was close to it, and it punched him in the chest, and this dog scared it off. And he told, I guess, the villagers that what it was. It was the Bigfoot or the Nantinak, and he eventually died from the punch because he had like internal injuries.
Well, yeah.
And there was another story. The same guy, Michael Pekka. Someone else wrote down that he was strangled and mutilated by this, but it was chased off by dogs as well. But apparently, Nantinak. Or Nantinak, or however they want to say it.
From Nantucket.
Nantucket. Nantinic.
It doesn't like dogs, so that's kind of weird. And there was a couple stories. There was another one was I think currently like in 1992, there was a gentleman that was in Eagle River, and he was having a heart attack, and so the paramedic guy came in and was like working on him, and the paramedic guy was just trying to make nice with him and just talk to him about stuff, and he was telling the Native American guy that had the heart problem that he was hunting in Portlock, and the gentleman like sat up and said, "Did you see it?" And the paramedic guy was like, he didn't know what he's talking about, so he's just playing along and say, "No, I didn't. Did you?" And then like he goes, "No, I didn't, but it chased my brother out of the woods." So eventually he was like talking to him more and more, and he came out to say, "Yeah, this was Nantinuk that has chasing him. The Bigfoot had chased his brother out." So that was that story. I think it was in I forgot what paper that was in, but it was in the paper. And there was another lady that was I think her father was telling the story. They made it to I think the newspaper in 1972 that her father witnessed like these hunters would go into the woods, and then they would go missing. And so when it would rain hard, the rains would wash down these body parts of like arms and legs and torsos of these people that were missing into the lagoon, I think there. So and like that was in the paper in 1972, and so that was kind of interesting as well, because like whenever you see body parts especially come down like in the woods or whatever like that, that's not characteristics of bears or wolves, because they'll eat it to the bone. They'll eat it to the bone, and like whatever took these guys, because apparently I guess they were saying like in this newspaper clipping that these arms and legs were pulled out of sockets. So that was something that got to be pretty strong to do that. So that was kind of interesting a little bit, because I've heard like hundreds and hundreds of Bigfoot stories, and very few of them are very, very violent. Very few. There's mostly like Bigfoot's crossing roads, or they're like picking food off of a farm, or they're pick up a pig and take off or something like that, but never attacking humans.
Violent to the pigs and deer, though.
Yeah, they're violent to them, and so that was kind of interesting to me how this story escaped me somehow, and I never caught this story. So it's intriguing. I know we're doing a show now, but I imagine we're going to probably do like more shows about it, and just like at least talk about it.
There's so much that I've researched on it, and now that we watched the show or the documentary on it, it's like, this is so much.
Steven's talking about Alaskan Killer Bigfoot that's on Discovery Plus, and so this show was actually I please forgive me whoever told me this, because it was a member of the Bigfoot Club Facebook group had messaged me. Like I was doing post, I do post like every day, and somebody messaged me, and whoever you are, I apologize. They messaged me about this show. I go, it's on Discovery Plus. So I looked it up really quick, and it's a show on Discovery Plus. It's a reality show. I imagine some of it's kind of staged, some of it's probably real or whatever. It's entertaining, but I watched it. It's supposed to be about the grandchildren of the people who left Portlock, because we haven't got that part of the story, but eventually people in Portlock were so tied up with, I guess, Bigfoot's attacking them, they eventually moved out in 1949. So the show Alaskan Killer Bigfoot, and I'm probably jumping around a lot, and I apologize, but it's about the grandchildren that the people that went to a neighboring village, and so the documentary is about their grandchildren going back to Portlock and trying to reassess it and trying to see if it's livable again. And so they're just trying to map it out and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting show. So if you haven't checked it out, you should really, really check it out. So
there might be a couple spoilers in here too. If you haven't watched it, but there was a lot of. Especially at the end, like, oh my God, did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's running towards us, and you can tell that's probably most likely staged.
Yeah.
However, the stories that they talked about it on there was like true, like from what they gathered, proving it. That's one thing that they're trying to do on the show. And how you've been saying it right, Nantinic. Nantinnuk. Jesus Christ, I don't know why I can't
Like
say
the people on the show were saying it all kinds of different ways.
That's one thing it was bothering me, is that there was like 3 or 4 characters on there that was pronouncing it differently, and the main character on the show is Keith. It was like a Mexican rolling his R's. Right. It was very authentic, so he kept saying Nantinnuk.
Nantinnuk.
Like it just sounded like a sound effect. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And then Ash would, the other character on there, and Ash would say Nantinnuk.
Yeah.
And then the narrator would say how you say it. I still can't pronounce it.
Hold on.
Nantinnuk.
Yeah, the narrator would say that, and I'm like, oh my God, I was just getting confused. I was like, how do you? So it stuck with me how Keith was saying Nantinnuk.
Yeah.
It just sounded like
he sounded like he was congested or something.
Yeah, or it just sounded like a sound effect of a ball falling down. Nantinnuk, Nantinnuk. So, yeah, they were just trying to find out what it is and see if there's a way to be peaceful with it. But throughout the whole series, it's not. It's very what's that word I'm looking for? It starts with the M.
Malevolent.
Malevolent.
You gotta make me say it right now.
No, Jesus Christ.
Malevolent.
Malevolence. It's very. It leads more to, at the end of it being more supernatural than the normal creature, Bigfoot, being an animal. Yeah,
it was really different. But what I kind of wanted to talk about, I know I talked about it on other shows, and Juan, I know you weren't a part of that show. Whenever I was talking about, I was on another show, and I was talking about, because theory is that Bigfoots can do infrasound, and I'm not sure if you're if you know what that is. It's infrasound is what a tiger does it. They send out this low frequency, and it kind of paralyzes their prey so they can pounce on it easier. And so theory has it that Bigfoots can do infrasound. And so I was on another show, and I was talking about EMF. And EMF, and I'm not sure if you know what that is either, or Stephen. It's an electric magnetic field. It's what theory is when a ghost manifests. It gives off EMF. And so different things give off EMF, like refrigerators, poorly shielded wiring in the house, power lines,
Transformers.
Not
the Autobots or Decepticons, like actual Transformers.
Yeah.
A power box. What's it?
Yeah, a power box,
fuse box. Sorry.
Chevrolet's, Ford
Lights. Would you consider lights?
Yeah, like old lights that has like an old ballast in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like an old ballast, because they give up, because EMF is it's you can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it, but it gives off. And so whenever ghosts do it, they just do it without power, without sometimes they drain power, but everybody that gets overly in that environment, everybody reacts different, like nausea, they get sick, they get dizzy, they hallucinate. And so this is the theory. So the same theory that when I was on the show talking about that, another researcher had told me, goes, that sounds like infrasound. And I go, yeah, I guess it kind of does, because infrasound is like a low frequency, and it makes you also nauseated, it makes you dizzy, and it makes you feel like you're sick to your stomach. It makes you hallucinate and stuff like that. So whenever she talked about that, I said, man, I don't think anybody's ever talked about that. Anybody's ever talked about infrasound and EMF at the same time. It's almost the same thing. And so whenever you talk about Portlock, there was at least about between 1921 and 1950, there was probably 3 dozen people either came up missing or they were murdered mysteriously. So you have about 36 souls in that area, and probably a lot more. Yeah,
when the Spanish came over.
Whenever the Spanish killed a bunch of people, so they probably didn't document that. So you probably have all these dead people and all these spirits in this area, and then you have I don't know how many Bigfoots are in that area doing infrasound, and then you have all this spiritual death in that area. So
you think they're summoning them?
Yeah, I kind of think so.
Or you think that's where I was going to get to, because when I was talking to you on the phone the other night, is that because I was like, man, I have so many theories of what it's doing. You think the Bigfoot is using that energy,
yeah,
to to, I guess, give its abilities more enhanced, or it's just like,
Yeah, I mean, because I think I'm getting shivers just thinking about that. Right now.
yeah,
But
it's creepy.
because like I didn't also add this as well. There was like several, at least like 10 to 8 shipwrecks in that area, right in that bay as well. And so you got, and because like water is a conduit of paranormal beyond capabilities. I mean, it's like whenever there's water, there's always like a paranormal story or something. And you got water, and you got the people that died there, and you have Bigfoots. I mean, it's crazy. Like I'm not one of those people that I like talk about portals and Bigfoot's going through portals. It's something that I don't really sell or really believe as much. But I'll listen to people talk about it. But with this story, there's like so much stuff going on there, and it's like I don't know, man. It's like I really wanted to go there. But the only way you get there is like either fly or you have to go in like a boat.
And not only just fly, it's those small planes that land on the water, the plane, whatever, water planes, whatever.
Yeah.
And
No, it's not a Cessna.
Yeah.
No,
They
it's
have- unless you can land on an island.
no. You land on the
That's okay.
ocean, near it. I forgot what they're called.
I forgot what they're
They're
called
just
too.
Seaplanes or whatever.
Yeah, I'm a millennial on that, but anyway.
Yeah. No, it's and plus, I know you're trying to probably like build up to, but you were telling me about the Alaskan Triangle or the Alaskan Bermuda Triangle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
And it hits, was it Juneau and
Juneau,
Anchorage on one point
and Barrow.
Barrow. So Juneau, Anchorage and Barrow. It's like it's in between those right there. Those cities. Like planes go missing,
UFOs.
There's UFO sightings.
There's a ton of paranormal stuff.
So there's no way of telling that. When you see the UFOs there, it's probably that triangle is probably a portal to another dimension. So that it's just a doorway for UFOs to just show up. And that's why I was saying, I go, is Portlock there? Because if it was, I would have just add more to it, but it's not.
It's
you
not.
Looked it up.
Yeah, whenever I looked at the map, it's nowhere near that. But it's like.
But who knows? They could feed off of that. They could still feed off of that.
It could just be its own triangle.
Yeah,
as well. So I mean, because like, this story is like so intriguing to me, and I don't know, because I've always been fascinated with Bigfoot behavior, and like so. There's so many people that come to me and like talk to me about Bigfoot sightings. Like they see a Bigfoot across the road, or like I said, they see him peek through a window.
You get a lot of those.
I get a ton of those, but
it's almost redundant. But it's the same. It's a behavior,
right, right.
But with this one here, it's a lone big. There's no people there.
Yeah,
it's enjoying the island by itself. It's enjoying its own resources there. So yeah, that's probably why it became this group of Bigfoot. It became violent. And what did I say the other night? Where those hunters it killed all those hunters. Maybe those hunters accidentally killed a baby Bigfoot,
or maybe even shot at a
Bigfoot, and they just retaliated and the only way it could, and they realized, oh, these humans without their weapons, they're fragile.
Yeah,
let's just go on a killing spree, and it just became Dexter.
Dexter Bigfoot.
Dexter Bigfoot. Just I don't know what to do. Just rip off the limbs and take off the head, and
yeah.
It's not like Hydra.
What are your thoughts, Juan?
Regional,
like
say North Texas compared to South Texas.
Yeah.
Say this spot isn't as aggressive as this spot.
Right.
Like neighborhoods. So maybe that type of Bigfoot was more aggressive,
right,
than the Bigfoots that are here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
that's why I said earlier, is it a different species? Because you showed me books where there's different type of Bigfoots.
Right.
So I don't know. The ones that have the big fangs coming out, and
it's definitely not a three-toed one, because you know how they said the East Texas, or Legend of Boggy Creek, that area, like the Bigfoots were I don't know if you want to go that route of why they were the way they were.
Incest.
Yeah. And that's why they had 3 toes, and they were very aggressive, and they were more than curious. They were aggressive. But this right here, I always, when I was a kid, when you told me that, I was like, okay, so Texas is very special, Bigfoot. But I felt like the more north you went, the Bigfoots were bigger, but they were just more intimidating, and they just used that to scare off people. This, however, if this is true, this Bigfoot is like, no, I don't care. I know what I've done. I've killed these hunters. I've killed these people that got in the way, and I don't mind doing it again. And it's like
Dexter,
yeah. But, well, I wanted to throw in also because I know one of the first season that we did the show, I did one on Brown Springs, and Brown Springs was when I went out there, it was like I felt like something sitting on my chest, and it was like anxiety. It was like tons and tons of anxiety, but I didn't know. I later found out that area of Brown Springs was the body dumping ground for the Dallas mob. So the Dallas mob used to dump bodies there all the time, and then there were Bigfoot there too, and so I'd always had we had discussions with our Bigfoot groups as what if the EMF in that area, because it's paranormal, there's bodies there, affect the Bigfoot like it's affecting us, like whenever I walk into a paranormal area, I feel like anxiety. I feel like EMF does that to different people. It makes you feel nauseated, makes you feel sick, makes you see stuff. And so if there's a lot of bodies there and a Bigfoot crosses that area, who knows, maybe that'll make the Bigfoot, hallucinate and get anxiety and get aggressive. So the same thing with Portlock. So you have all these people that had died there before, with the Spanish, and then the Bigfoots cross there. And who knows, everybody reacts different to EMF, and they just react differently and violently and aggressively. So like Juan was saying, this whole area is
it's regional.
Yeah, it's regional. So if you cross this area, you're going to become aggressive and stuff. And so, because that's what. I
don't know. He was shaking his head when I said regional. I was like,
no, when you're talking about the paranormal.
Yeah.
That's why I was tapping my ear, because somebody thumped my.
Really?
Yeah, because when I went like this, I didn't hit the wall.
Yeah.
I thump it. That's what I heard.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
And I didn't touch nothing.
I didn't hear it. I know. But,
I heard it in here.
You heard it, right?
Well, you're talking about the energy,
right?
And it popped me right in his ear. That's why I looked.
Yeah, I saw you look confused. Like you were like, "What the heck was that?"
It hit my headset, and like a pop, like you thumped it. That's why when I tapped it, it's a different tap. It's like that. And y'all didn't hear it.
Wow.
Maybe when you go back and listen to it again.
Yeah.
No,
There was that probably at the 38-minute mark. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Because y'all talking about that.
No,
yeah, do you want to really explain the show to and where it leads to?
Yeah. Because it was really interesting. I know you didn't see it, Juan, but they did a couple things on this show that I've never seen done on any Bigfoot investigation.
Alaskan Killer Bigfoot, the one that had DJ on it, the big guy with a beard. So
they actually brought two psychic people or two mediums out to the area. The first one, what was her name? Polly. So she goes out, and they don't tell her what's going on. They don't tell her, anything, the history of the area. She just shows up in a helicopter. She gets out, and right away she hits it. She's talking about something big.
A lot of people died.
In this area.
There's a lot of grief. She was explaining almost every emotion. There's fear. There's grief. There's anger, and then they were not confirming or denying it. They were just letting her fill it out, and that she goes to the spooky tree.
Yeah,
that's when they lead her to the spooky tree, and she said it's getting stronger here. And then that's whenever she started getting sick and getting dizzy, and she was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, we didn't really say in the very beginning when the show starts. Ash gets really sick whenever they get off. They get off the boat.
He's just on the shore though. He didn't even go close to the.
Yeah, because when I saw it, I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe he's seasick or something, and he's just throwing up and stuff.
Is this the tree that has all those sticks that look like they're pointing everywhere?
Yeah, it's like sticks pointing.
It's
out.
really tall. It's like
real tall.
yeah.
and there's a lot of sticks.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a star.
Yeah, kind of like that. It's just weird. I know.
So that's the scary tree.
They call it the spooky tree.
Spooky tree because it's like really old. Like it's like over 200 years old. Or
that,
something
that
like that.
mound of rocks.
I don't remember them.
There was like branches with claw marks lined up around it. You know how the Bigfoots are like. They like to leap like rocks and stuff like that.
What it was. They're boulders.
Yeah, huge boulders,
and they're like in a mound.
Right.
Yeah, that was a spooky tree.
Yeah,
None to knock.
But yeah, Polly, she gets terrified or just sick, and she hightails it out of there. Mm-hmm. She gets back in the helicopter, and they're like, "Oh snap!" Like that. That's not good. Like, so now they're leaning more to it's something supernatural. And then does anybody else come out? It was
Ron Moorhead.
Ron Moorhead. He comes out and says that there's he does a cool technique on there. He gets a speaker and plays like Bigfoot calls.
Yeah.
Like 3 Bigfoot calls, and then it was like not even a couple seconds in, like there was callbacks and tree branches breaking, and they did the dramatic effect, like, oh, what did they just say? What did we do?
It's funny because like I think back when I was with the TBRC, Lukehead did that too.
He did call outs or
no? We got a speaker. We got a speaker, and we did that too. We used Ron Moorhead stuff too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We did it out in Sulphur Springs.
Shout out to Ron Moorhead.
I know, right?
Man.
So like that was actually the very first audio that I ever studied, like in the 90s. Like there was Ron Moorhead. He sold them on cassette tapes, and then eventually he sold them on CDs. And I listened to it on cassette tape. I think I borrowed it from some friend of mine, and I would just listen to it all the time. And I didn't let anybody know because I didn't want anybody like back then like to make fun of me. So I didn't let anybody know. And then whenever I got with the TBRC, somebody had a CD, and we just passed it around, and I would listen to it, and like I would just listen to it and fall asleep, and just like
that was like your brain
white
noise effect, whatever.
Yeah, so
that's a little weird.
Yeah, that was really really cool.
He
but
falls asleep to rocks being thrown at him.
Yeah, he's like, there we go.
But
he's got like other like you were telling me, like he's got like really scary ones that I thought they were gonna play, where it's like trying to talk, but it's like it's like doing Jonathan Davis Corn, like
yeah, it sounds like John Doe from one of our shows said I played that for him, and because he said he told me before I played that for him that he said it sounded like a Sumeru guy, like a samurai guy.
Oh, like Japanese, like it sounded Japanese.
Yeah. And so when I heard it, it scared the shit out of me. I'm like, there's no way this is actually what they sound like.
Yeah.
You never heard it?
That audio? Yeah, I've heard that audio. I think you showed me that, and I think because you showed me that when I was like 9 or something, and my fear spiked. And I was like, man, I do not want, because I always had this fear. I don't think I've ever told you this. I always had this fear, like, because when you took me out there a couple of times, it was pitch black. I couldn't see my hand.
Yeah. I
always had this fear that, like Alien 3.
Yeah.
His face would be right here. That he would just be doing that noise. Oh my God. I would freak out, and I already got goosebumps already.
I never do that.
I always had that fear, and that's why I always thought, okay, if I can have him, if Robert's right on the left of me or right of me, I can focus on the other side, make sure nothing creeps up on me. But I don't know why Bigfoot. You're thinking he's 8 feet tall. I'm 5 foot. He's gonna get on his knees and go like that. I don't know why. Like I thought that it would just look stupid if
he'd have to lay on his stomach.
Yeah, he'd lay on his stomach. It would be funny rather than scary. But I thought that was terrifying.
That is funny
as a kid.
Yeah. That is funny.
How many seconds are we in?
We are at 45 seconds.
Woo! So we're just not even scratching the surface on this.
I know. So, the Ron Moorhead stuff. I don't know if I ever told you the story, but I actually heard something similar to that in like Oklahoma. Whenever I was with Ken the Marvelous Marvel, we were at his cabin, and he had like he had like a neighbor that was like maybe 200 yards away, and I heard some talking over there. So I thought it was we would go over there and get like firewood from his neighbor, and I go, hey man, your neighbor's over there. And so we would hear talking, and then we would walk down the road like toward his cabin. And as you're like start seeing like the trees open up and the brush wasn't so around, you would hear like more like louder, and it sounded like that. It sounded like the Ron Moorhead stuff.
But did you think it was Bigfoot or was the neighbor?
I thought it was a neighbor at first, and then when we got really close to the house, to his cabin, there was no vehicle there. There was no RV, and everything was dark. And I go, and it stopped. And I go, you heard that, right? And Kenny goes, yeah. We heard it, and then we would turn around and start walking back to his cabin, and it would pick up again. And so we would stop and then walk really fast back toward it and stop. So I heard the exact same thing that, the
And then one thing I noticed that Ron, he said on the show that he said that the Bigfoot's like the vocal cords or the muscles here. That is just it's more like, I don't think he said advanced, but he says it's more complex and it's more, since it's such a massive creature, that the tote being so massive as well.
Yeah.
That they have muscles that they're just that they can create noises that we can't even imagine trying creating because we don't have the muscles for it. I thought that was intriguing too. As many times as you probably told me that as a kid. I don't think it really clicked with me until
it registered with you.
It didn't register with me until I realized. I was like, oh, that's so right. Like it's more than just the screaming.
Yeah,
it's more than just the howling or the whistling that it does. It literally it has the ability to mimic almost everything that it hears in the woods and then create its own thing as it can. So I thought that was really interesting that Ron said that. I was like, oh crap, that does make sense.
Yeah, that makes. Even whenever he was talking about stuff like that, it was like because most of the stuff he was talking about, like that it gets its power from trees, and that's that if you did some things, it would do it back, or it would it was most of the stuff he talked about. It hit right on, and so like I just agree with it because. And it's funny because I know I was talking to you before about this. He came on another show I was watching 411 Missing Hunted.
I need to watch that.
And it's about these people that go missing in national parks, but they never said the word Bigfoot. But everything that these missing people stories we're talking about, that was hinting of some kind of Bigfoot thing, like a scream or a yell or a certain break in the woods or something. So, and then eventually toward the end, he comes on, we'll say Ron Moorhead, because the area that he did the Sierra Sounds, a lot of people end up missing in that area. So, I was watching 2 documentaries within a week. He came on both. So that was kind of weird and kind of neat.
That'd be kind of cool to have him on the show.
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
I think it would be a good guest.
Yeah, I would I think my number one goal to get somebody on was number one, John Green. He's the top Bigfoot guy, and he's like in his 90s now. And the second guy was John Bendernagle, but he's already passed away, so I can't get him on there. But I really wanted to get him on, but he passed away before I even did a podcast. So, but anyway, but getting back to the story, because I know we're talking about Portlock, and then we're talking about the Alaskan Bigfoot Killer. They brought a second median on, and they were demonologists,
and that didn't sit well with all the guys. They were like, "Wait, what do you mean demonologist? Where is this going?"
Yeah,
but I can't remember their names.
I can't either. But it was like.
It was a couple.
Yeah.
And their other friend, she was there too. But she said that she was already picking up some stuff, even at the shore when they were talking about it. But she said that she had the ability, to the door, to close it. And that was her unique gift on that. She was able to close it, and she was able to just focus on it. So she was already picking up stuff whenever she was when she was there. And then whenever they started going to the woods and filling it out, that's whenever she was picking up, it was talking to her already, pretty much.
It was wanting her out.
I was wanting her out, that this land is mine. You can't take this away from. It was getting already territorial, and it was already getting aggressive. And it was I guess in that I don't know how would you that connection she had with it. It was screaming at her, and she was like getting headaches, but she was still pushing. She actually went further than Polly. She was able to go further. Like
she went further too, even more than those guys that were there.
Yeah, like
So
she
it's
went
kinda-
to an area that we didn't see because the guys just stayed like just where the spooky tree, and I think that's where they stopped.
Yeah.
And they didn't dare to go any further. But she was like going like, and I think she said that she saw something too, and she was chasing after it, and I was like, oh my god, like this. Ugh.
Yeah, she said some things on there. It was kind of weird because she thought, since he was a demonologist, and she was talking about it was a elemental. So elemental is like ancient spirit that they don't call a demon, but it's like a part of the earth, and it's part of the earth, and it protects the earth, and it's like one with the earth. And so I know that was kind of odd for her to say that. And then like whenever I left the TBRC and I started doing like a bunch of like independent research, I ended up talking to a lot of Native American people, and Native American people, a lot of them don't believe in Christianity. A lot of them, not a lot of them, but some of them, the hardcore ones they don't believe in Christianity or Catholicism. And so, they always talk about that the Bigfoots are one with the earth, that the reason why the white man can't, or the man can't record them is because they can shapeshift into like a raccoon or a wolverine or a moose
or
a tree or whatever. So that always, like, whenever she said it was an elemental, I've never had that perspective thinking about it. I just thought it was like, shapeshifter or a portal or something, whatever. So,
Well, in this case, it's like I feel like it's all of it.
yeah, a little
All
bit of
in one.
everything.
Yeah, it's a
So,
little bit of everything. Yeah.
So they can't die. That's why you can't find a body.
yeah,
That's a
exactly.
possibility, yeah. And then my kid is just there. That makes sense too. Like if they don't, I don't think they die. They Yoda away.
Yeah.
They just disappear.
Or they
Bigfoot is real, man.
Sorry, I had
or
to
they
do that.
use the life of something until they just jump from one life to another. If you say they shape shift,
Well, that's what the Native Americans believe.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like a tree could have a certain life, so they'll shape into that until some danger passes by. Then they'll manifest to themselves, and then.
Right.
Well, you said they get the power from the trees.
That's what the show believed. That's what Ron Moorhead believed, and because I know, whenever I first started doing Bigfoot, I never believed in that. I just thought it was like flesh and blood. I thought it was a primate, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
one of the stories that I was interviewing a guy with, he told me whenever the Bigfoot stepped out of the woods and then stepped back in the woods, he said this thing was massive, big. It looked like I think he like described it as like a bulldozer with two legs.
Dang.
And he said this thing was so big, and then when it stepped into the woods, he said the woods swallowed it up, like
So it grabbed them in.
and just like just went into it. So it went behind a tree, even though it's big, it just blended in. And that always stuck with me. Whenever he told me that, I go, man, that's amazing. I've never heard of anybody say that before, because it just swallowed him up. And like, because I knew he was there because he was making noise and he was like shaking trees, but he goes, I couldn't see him. And like the trees weren't that big, they weren't that wide, and so he was telling me I just couldn't see him, but I could hear him. And like it just chased him out of this area. So that to me has always been. So when he told me that story about it swallowed it up, so whenever I talk to Native Americans and then I heard this story and then Portlock, it all makes sense, because like that's why the Bigfoots are not seen as well, because they just blend so well with nature, and maybe it's like beyond me or beyond my understanding, or anybody's like
How do you get away from the smell though? Because they say you can smell them.
Yeah, there's times when Bigfoots are, they smell really bad, and there's times when, and to be honest with you, I think this is just my theory, is that whenever they do that, whenever you can smell them and they smell like really pungent and all that stuff, it's because they don't want you there. They really hate you and they don't want you
It's
there.
like a skunk.
pheromone.
Yeah. So it's like a defensive mode. It's like them showing you that they're aggressive, and they give off this pungent this smell. And so whenever some people say, okay, the part of that story was like they went to the cabin when they first got there and they could smell like a pungent smell, but they didn't see nothing. So it was probably around looking at them. But I just think Bigfoots do that. And then like there's some people just see it and don't smell nothing. It's probably because the Bigfoot doesn't even pay no mind and don't really care, and they're just walking through the area. So
like they know you're there, but I'm going my way.
I'm going this way, and you're
gonna stay right there. But if you can,
you're not important.
You're not important. No, sir. I don't know why I said it like
Nantinak.
I said it like the Goodbye Horses song. Oh no, sir. I must say you're wrong. Get some chapstick.
Yeah. Oh man.
Somebody thirsty?
Yeah, somebody a little dark. Somebody a little dark. So, but I think we're almost at an hour. Wow. I didn't think we were going to have enough material to talk about, but we end up talking.
No, I think this one is
Like, I got a lot.
thick. Like
Yeah.
it's just the stories of it, and then like how you touch base with the ships. Like I think like all of them said that they felt like they hit something in the ocean, and they weren't even close to shore. Like it hit something, or something hit them, or there was like a couple that just combust. Like it was on fire, and
even like the cannery burned down twice. They were said in its history, it burned down twice, and they rebuilt it once, and that's just kind of odd a little bit. So
now something that's where I was like conflicted, because I'm so used to Bigfoot just being. I'm thinking it as just an animal or a primate, and for this one to have powers or supernatural powers where it just like I'm just gonna walk by or just look at it and it's gonna catch fire for no reason, and it's like I said, it's evil because it's home. It's doing a huge risk where it could the fire it spreads,
right,
and it can eat up the grass and go to the trees. It's like almost no, I don't want that cabin there, or I don't want that there. That's just gonna go up in flames. That's terrifying, because if it does that to a building, a structure, I'm surprised there was no stories where it did that to a human.
Yeah, human combustion.
Yeah, and then
who said it didn't? Because some of the people were never found.
Yeah,
so.
Like but it I guess that has to draw a lot of energy for it to do it. It weakens it a little bit, so it can't really do it to. But man, that's just when I saw that, and I was like, man, if it was able to do that to a building, what makes you? They had to have done it to humans.
There's a lot of stuff in the story. I mean, there's a lot of paranormal stuff they don't really touch on. They just talk about the deaths, but there's got to be. I wish I could have caught this show when they were right before they started, and I would have maybe tweeted them and say, hey, take a K2 meter or something, because you don't even know what's in that area. I mean, I wish they had a K2 meter that can just walk around and just test the EMF. And
they had a metal detector.
Yeah.
Dang, how did you know to bring that, bro?
Well, they were doing it for the Spanish and stuff, for coins and stuff. So, but
one thing I wish they did was I don't know, it's dangerous, but that mine that was really intriguing me.
Yeah,
because I think that there's something in the mine. Like I think that's probably its hangout. Obviously, that area where they went, that was too dangerous. But there's probably another entrance around that island that they haven't checked, and that's where,
I don't doubt it.
Because even they were even hearing stuff. Ash was hearing stuff whenever he was going in there. Now I don't know if they did that for the show
for dramatic purposes.
Yeah, dramatic purposes, but. I honestly think that there's caves that they haven't explored there, that it's just chilling there.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
It's very scary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding.
Mm-hmm. You haven't heard any other?
No, just that one time it freaked me out.
Oh, man. I think I could do something with this, guys.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna call and say we should definitely do a part 2 to it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would like to.
Or either that, maybe get Matt to do a part 2.
Yeah,
on Bigfoot Crossroads. So I'm calling them out now. So
yep, Matt, you're gonna have to be on the show, man. I'm sorry,
but yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Hey, no coffee.
I'm sorry, man. You say it at the end, really. I was coughing a lot worse than the beginning of the show.
So I'm not sure what the next episode we're going to do on. I think I'd like to get Billy Simmons on. I'd like to get Luke on. I'd like to get Logan Kraft back on. I'd like to get Matt back on. There's a lot of people I want to interview, but I still want to talk about other Bigfoot stories. So, but there's like so much we could touch on, and maybe we could touch on some paranormal stuff too. Or I would really like to do the Cecil Hotel again. That one was like always intrigued me about that one. That's one particular story because it's just like odd. There's like so many things going on in that area. So paranormal wise, probably horror show wise, and just like murder wise, and
It's like I feel like it's all
Is
connected.
that the one in downtown?
no, this is the one in downtown L.A.
That's the one I was talking about.
Well, you said downtown. I didn't know where.
Let's see. I got it out of you.
Thanks, Coach.
Cecil Hotel is the one where the girl went missing.
Yeah.
Right? And then they found her in the water tank.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
And it's,
that's one story out of many.
Richard Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez was actually living there too, like in one of the rooms. Yeah,
the Night Stalker.
he was like, I think one person said that he came in without a shirt, but he had blood.
He had
on him.
he had just had his underwear on.
He just had his underwear, but he had blood on him. And if that person would have just
Called the police.
called the police, he would have. Oh man,
Saved so many people.
well, that's another story we'll get into.
Well, when she was in the elevator, did you not see a foot move away from?
There was something. There was always
something that
that's
moved.
there was.
yeah that one Netflix documentary. That's
It was sad.
it is really
She was
sad.
interacting with somebody outside, but they made a close up on the floor.
Yeah,
You
it
see
kind of
something
looked. It looked
move
like the very toe, like a toe or something.
Yeah, move out of
Like-
the way.
Yeah,
they
it
would
moved
move
out of the way. And then she reacted to it,
Yeah.
looking over there, and it's still creepy. If you look at
What-
the video,
Yeah. What if that was like a spirit that's trying to get her out of the elevator, and because
I
like
don't know,
she was on like poor baby, she was like suffering from schizophrenia and all kinds of stuff.
she
and-
was on medication, but she.
Do you think
I think
there's
on
enough
that-
energy for some spirit to manifest itself there that long
yeah
to
yeah.
encourage her to come here?
And from not only that, like I think it's I guess they can tell whenever you're schizophrenic, or they just know how you would react to
Yeah,
it.
I think they're in tune better, or they're like it's almost like a spirit. With a regular person, you see a light, but with a person with like some kind of ailments,
Disorder.
it's like a Roman candle.
Yeah.
And so they're
It's like
probably
a spark
attracted
or a magnetic thing.
They're probably attracted to a lot more and stuff like that.
Well, like I'm not going to say autistic kids, but there's some kids where some
I mean, you
those
can
go through them.
Yeah, you can because they're in tuned differently than
Yeah.
we are. So I mean, there's like they can see frequencies or like
Especially children.
or like or spectrums or frequencies a lot different than what we can see.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I was believed in and stuff like that. So, but anyways,
Yeah, we can definitely go back to that because I think that.
Yeah,
I
'cause,
don't
like-
think I did the.
no, you didn't do
episode
it. No, that was Chris Collops and Ash, and it was a good show, but I think it could have been better. But I mean, but anyway, but I think that we can call it a night on this one. So I guess I can say good night. You guys ready to say good night?
All right. Well, good night from the silent guy.
You talked.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But-
No, you talked. You talked.
Anyway, all right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.